Hello, everyone, and welcome to Green Cross Global's Winter Wellbeing webinar, Navigating SAD, Seasonal Affective Disorder, and Winter Mental Health. So my name is Ross, and I'm the Head of Wellbeing here at Green Cross Global, and I'm so glad that we've decided to spend the next 30 minutes or so together to discuss this subject. If you've noticed a dip in your energy, your mood, or your motivation as the days get shorter and colder, we're absolutely not alone. This is common and a predictable challenge of the winter period. So, over the next 30 or so minutes, we're going to be covering seasonal affective disorder, practical coping tools, and the role of light and supplement, and the key lifestyle strategies. So, let's start with a little quick poll. What I'd like you to do is into the chat, okay, is just to give me a little hello. Let me know where you are. And for you, what is the hardest part of winter? So just to let everybody know, this session has been recorded for those that can't make it. So anybody who puts a comment in the chat, I won't put their name next to it. Okay. So let me know whereabouts you are and let me know what is the hardest part of winter for you. Pop it into the chat. Making sure working, coming home in the dark. Absolutely. We get up there, get up in the dark, we go back to work from the dark. Dark for me, it's a lack of daylight. It doesn't make me want to go outside, which I know isn't good. From Cheshire, getting darker earlier. Lutterworth, getting up and staying motivated. From London, hardest part is no longer feeling safe due to the darkness, to go for wellness walks after work at evenings. Another from London, the dark mornings and the evenings. Hi from Bristol, harder to get motivated to do exercise. Oh, thanks so much for sharing, everybody. Okay, so let's start to have a look at this. Okay, and these feelings, we're going to notice that actually we are not alone with these. Okay, so let's look at some trends relating to well-being during this period. So the challenges we face are widely reported. Okay, 17% of people felt more lonely over the winter and festive period, and we're going to be covering both the winter period and the holiday season. This is the time where we are culturally told we should be getting together. You know, if you look at all the adverts that are across the media, they've taken all the religious connotation, but it's about people coming together, families coming together, communities coming together, and this can start to heighten the feeling of isolation. So separately, the Mental Health UK reports that 84% of people found the Christmas period particularly stressful. And I can speak from experience there. All my plans were sorted. Everything was okay. And then family came into the equation, and some of my plans came crashing down. Now, someone who manages their own mental health, routine and plans are vital for me. So when these start to change, actually can start to have quite an impactful an impact on my well-being. Okay, so the pressures to spend, organize, and perform during the holidays can be a major mental load. Okay, and when we look at the information on these feelings, the data shows awareness of seasonal affective disorder is very high. So Google searches for seasonal affective disorder increased by 500% as these winter months approach. So we can see that actually we're not alone in this feeling. Okay, it's a feeling and an emotion that is felt by many people. So let's have a look at the season itself. Okay, the fundamental shift. So this is the most direct, okay, psychological trigger. The transition from longer, brighter days to shorter days and reduced sunlight, and that's what a lot of you were mentioning. Okay, this significantly impacts our internal chemistry. Okay, so melatonin production. The lack of light in the morning and evenings can confuse the body's natural sleep-wake cycle. Okay, the circadian rhythm. That's why I just call it a sleep-wake cycle. Far easier, leading to an overproduction of the chemical melatonin, and this is the sleep hormone, which causes excessive drowsiness and starts us to make us feel a little bit lethargic. Serotonin levels. So sunlight helps the brain produce serotonin, and this is a neurotransmitter that stabilizes our mood and promotes feelings of well-being. And for me, it makes my brain what I think of when I've got high levels of of serotonin. I think my brain is a little bit like a Tefal. Okay, it's Tefal coated, like the frying pans. It just everything that the world throws at me will just hit it and slide off. When my serotonin levels are low, my brain is a little bit like Velcro. Everything just sticks to it. Okay, so when we have reduced sun exposure, this can lead to the drop in that melatonin, and that can start to trigger depressive symptoms, irritability, and anxiety. And then we actually have vitamin D deficiency. Less time outdoors and weaker sun means less natural vitamin D, which is essential for our bodily functions, including our mental health. So let's have a look at expectations, the pressure. Okay, the pressure for the perfect holiday. The holiday season is often idolized in media, social media, and the advertising, even though the John Lewis advert did make me cry again. Okay, if you haven't seen it, brilliant about the album. Okay. But sometimes, this can create this ideology can be overwhelming, it can be unattainable, okay, and that's with personal and social expectations. So we have financial strain. The pressure to buy expensive gifts, travel, host elaborate gatherings can lead to significant financial stress. We've got that joy mandate, which I call it, okay? Societal unspoken rule that everyone must be happy and festive. Okay. For those already struggling with our mood or our grief, this pressure can really start to make us feel alienated or worsen feelings of failure or inadequacy. We've got family dynamics. The holidays often force intense, prolonged exposure to family members, or any exposure, okay, which can resurface old conflicts. There's no conflict in my family, bar the fact that people don't reply to any messages, okay, or create new tensions, okay, contradicting the expected image of harmonious togetherness, okay. We've got the comparison trap as well. So social media, it magnifies this sense of needing to present a picture perfect life. The house decorated so it looks like Home Alone. We've got a house around the corner. I always go past it with my son and say it's a Home Alone house. It's beautifully decorated, but it starts to put us into this comparison trap. Okay, we've got isolation and loneliness. Now, a natural tendency to withdraw. So when holidays are supposed to be a time of connection, they can actually amplify our feelings of being alone, especially for certain demographics. So we've got this increased withdrawal. For many who experience seasonal mood changes, natural biological tendency to hibernate, and that's what melatonin is. Okay, high melatonin levels in hibernating bears, for example. Okay, so we want to withdraw, we want to just snuggle down. Okay, and it makes it harder to have that social contact. We've got lack of structure. Okay, the focus on family and coupled activities can make those maybe who live alone or single, or in fact, if we are off of work, okay, it feels that actually, this structure can go from our social contact. We've got grief, we've got loss. The holiday is often profoundly difficult for those that are mourning a loved one. Okay, the missing presence, the empty seat at the table. Okay, and this can, obviously lead to intense sadness and isolation. And we've got that difficulty in connecting. Okay, while friends and family are around, often busy, stressed, or unavailable. And we get that at work as well. This is the Christmas period. Everyone's shut down. Okay, let's not contact each other. But for those of us that actually maybe kind of the workplace is our social connection as well, that puts pressure, okay, because we feel like I shouldn't be interacting with someone because it is a holiday season and everyone's got the right to switch off. And then we've got our routine disruption. So established routines gives us a sense of stability, predictability, and control. And as I already said, those of us that are managing our mental health, for me, routine is vital for everything. Okay, and all of a sudden, what happens is that routine goes out the window. Okay, we have a sleep schedule overhaul. So late night parties, travel, shorter days, inconsistent bedtimes, and wake up times. Okay, thrown off the body's system. Okay, anyone who's had small children or even babysat, looked after small children, it's about routine, bedtime routine. As soon as we get to an adult, we seem to forget all about that. Okay. And actually, we need to prepare ourselves and our brain to tell our body that it's time to go to sleep. We've got exercise and diet, so the gym closes. My son's on Sunday's got his last rugby training of the year. Okay, and so we get that, so they get a reduction in exercise. Okay, for me, I support their training, and for me, I love being around the boys, being around the coaches, and being outside, and all that's going to stop. Okay, there may be an abundance of rich food or alcohol. So, on average, I think it was Ren Kitchens did a survey. The average day intake for food on Christmas Day is something like 5,300 calories. Okay, and between Christmas Eve and New Year's Day, as a nation, we are going to consume 6 billion units of alcohol. On average, something like 28 on Christmas Day. And the weekly consumption should only be 21. Okay. And then we've got the work-life balance. So taking time off of work, it is necessary. It's important for us to de-engage. Okay, but actually, it can be a really major jolt for people. Okay. On the flip side, as we come up to the end, we've got end-of-year deadlines. Uh, you know, things starting to be released with what we want to achieve next year. At a time where we've got depleted mental energy, before that break begins. So let's have a look at the signs, okay? What I'd like you to do again in the chat is how do you feel, okay? How do you feel during this period? Either it could be the festive period, it could be the winter period. How does it make you feel? Actually feel. What does it do to your body? What does it do to your mind? Pop it into the chat. Okay, that's hibernate, stressed, exhausted. We don't feel properly rested. Uh, find it generally exhausting. Less energized, and hello, all the way from Oslo. You get the winter blues, making arrangements for festive periods, stressful gift shopping. Lovely when we finally get to the holiday itself. Okay. So let's think about. I love this. Thank you for your interaction. I really do. I really do appreciate it. Someone's put tiring can be very overwhelming for those of us that maybe have a neurodivergent condition. This time can be a real sensory overload. You go into every shop or every house, and everything smells of spiced apple and cinnamon. So we've got that smells going. Then when we've got Mariah Carey, okay, blasting out at us. you know. So we've got that. And then everywhere we go, it seems to be like there's a tinsel bomb that's gone off. Okay. There's lights, there's crunchiness, there's glitter, there's gold and silver everywhere. And it can be really, really sensory overloading. So let's think sleep changes. Okay, we can have hypersomnia, which is oversleeping. Okay, and we can have insomnia, which is difficulty sleeping. Okay, especially when we're linking this to our routine. We can have appetite changes and cravings. We can have this intense carbohydrate craving. Okay, desire for comfort food, so high in starches and sugars. We can have weight gain as well. We can have mood, so we can start to have persistent low mood, this feeling of sadness, emptiness, or this kind of slowness. As my son was saying, emoji, yeah, we've got the yeah going on. We can have the loss of interest. Okay, pleasure goes, interest goes, activities that we maybe do every year, all of a sudden, I just can't. Hobbies, work, social events. We can have irritability and issues with our concentrations. Okay, a decreased tolerance. Okay, for frustration to start to emerge. Okay, we can have that snappiness, that short-tempered, that easy annoyed, especially when we're trying to keep to a routine and everybody else is on their own routine. We can have social withdrawal. Okay, that tendency to withdraw. Energy and fatigue, so the loss of energy. Okay, we feel like we've got lead boots on this, weighted down. We've got this physical sluggishness. Okay, um, where physical movements, aches and pains, speech, thought processes can start to change. Okay, we've got, as I say, stomach, digestive, headache, muscle tension, and then we have the cognitive and an emotional impact and strain. So increased anxiety, worry, we can start to feel overwhelmed, difficulty making some decisions, even if they are usually quite simple. Okay, an increased sensitivity to criticism of, well, I don't quite like your Yorkshire puddings. I don't like your gravy. Well, that feeling of rejection, sorry, we can't come round to see everybody. So let's start to think about these challenges and what we're going to do about it. So winter, as I said, inherently brings challenges. Okay. The world chucks stuff at us. And my therapist says you can't change what the world chucks at you, but what you can do is start to change how you react to it. Okay. So what I'd like to do is start off with what I call the three R's of coping: recognize, reframe, and resilience. Okay, so first of all, recognize, validate our feelings. Okay, your feelings are the most genuine, honest thing that happens. Okay, we can't fake feelings. Okay, we can suppress them, we can paint on a happy face, but actually, that feeling that is inside, okay, is that moment in time. And it's really important to say that that is the moment in time of how we're feeling. Okay. It is absolutely fine to feel different, less energetic this time of the year. It is absolutely fine. Okay. Um, I've done a couple of these talks recently, and I love a line that I heard somewhere, and I thought, yeah, I really like that. Okay. And this is about, you don't expect your garden to thrive in the winter. So why expect ourselves to do that? Okay. So what we need to do, okay, is acknowledge, recognize our emotions. If we just put a lid on it, it is going to explode at some point. Okay. So let's not fall into the trap of self-criticism or comparing ourselves to others on social media. Okay. Instead of fighting the feeling, acknowledge it. Okay. Acknowledge the feeling. And we can say stuff like, I'm feeling heavy today because it's dark. Okay. And it's a perfectly normal seasonal response. Okay. And so what I'm doing is I'm taking the power away from that feeling. I'm acknowledging it. Okay. I'm feeling heavy today because it's dark. And it's a normal response to this time of the year. So I'm taking that power away from how it makes me feel. Next, then, I'm going to reframe. Okay. Especially when what we have at this time of the year is this all or nothing. Okay. So when motivation is low, our brain tells us if you can't do it all perfectly, okay, then let's not bother with it. Let's not bother with it. Okay. And what we need to do, we need to combat that. So reframe it. Instead of thinking, I don't know, maybe, we want to be going out and getting some fresh air. I must do a 60-minute workout. Okay. What we're going to do is try this exercise snack. 10 minutes of movement. Okay. If we can't clean the whole house in one go, clean one room, clean one counter, focus on small, achievable steps. Okay. And celebrate those. Okay. Not just a massive result. And this is getting a little bit into, I'll be talking more in January about when we get to January and we start to have New Year's resolutions. The problem is we focus too much on the target. Well, actually, it's the journey. Okay, because a lot of the time, something like 93% of the time, we don't get to the journey, we don't get the destination. We need to celebrate the journey. And this is exactly the same. Okay, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. We can't do it all in one go. That is absolutely fine. Let's break it down and say, actually, small, achievable goals, and I'm going to celebrate that. Okay. And then resilience through mindfulness. Anchor ourselves to the present. Okay, so anxiety and depression often pull us into the past. This is what we used to do. This is how we used to be. This is what we did. Or the future of this, and this. Okay, so simple mindfulness techniques can quickly anchor us back in the present moment. Okay, and this is where our power lies, in this moment. And that is able to immediately lower that stress level. So we're going to try a quick 30-second mindfulness exercise. Okay. No one else can see you do this. So if you want to participate, no one else is looking. Okay. If you listen to this as a recording, no one else is here. It's just you and me. And I can't see you. You can all see me. So this is something we can do anywhere, anytime. Okay. So if you feel safe to, I'd like you to close your eyes. Okay. Or just soften our gaze. Just take our focus away from our eyes. Then take a slow, deep breath in and a breath out. Now, I want us to feel the weight of our body, our feet on the floor and your back against the chair. And then what we're going to do, we're going to repeat this, simply focusing on our sensation of our breathing, moving in, moving out. If our brain starts to wander, just gently bring it back to focusing on our breathing. Focus on our breathing going in, focus on our breathing going out, and focus on the journey that that breath does. And as we focus on this, we're focusing on our whole body, our body scanning. Okay, so let's open our eyes. So one for you to take away with you. Quick exercise is a really powerful way to immediately lower, okay, that stress hormone cortisol, and it shifts our focus. Okay, so use that whenever you're feeling stress beginning to spike, when you can feel it coming inside. Okay, don't deny the emotion, because you just put a lid on it, it's going to explode. So let it come up, and as you feel it, well, let's do something about it. Let's go, that's stress. I've named it. Okay, I'm stressed because of this, taking the power away. Okay, let's see what we can do to change that. Let's reframe what's causing that, and then immediately, as a resetter, this is what we're going to do. Okay, so whenever you feel stressed, beginning to spike, do that. Okay, cool. So let's think about some self-care strategies. Okay, so light and routine. First and massively most crucial strategy in managing seasonal challenges is the light. Okay, waking up in the dark, leaving work in the dark is really powerful, and it zaps our energy. So we have light therapy, most common and effective treatment for seasonal affective disorder, SAD. If you're diagnosed, your doctor may prescribe or recommend a therapeutic light box. Okay, you can get them on Amazon and all over the places. Okay, but we need 10,000 lux. Okay, and we use it 20 to 30 minutes first thing in the morning, with an hour of us waking up. Okay, so we've got that. Okay, that light starts to signal the brain it's daytime. Okay, let's stop that melatonin production. But also we need natural light. Okay, our brain processes outdoor light differently from the light inside. So get yourself outside, even if it is at work. 10-minute break during lunchtime, a brisk walk will reduce cortisol levels from stress by 50%. Okay, even if it's a cloudy day, the ambient light is far stronger than any indoor lamp that you can buy. Try to sit next to a window, and I've done that. I've moved myself in front of a window. I've opened the blinds, okay, and I've opened the windows. I've got my winter jumper on, okay. You can't see it. It's very subtle. It's got Christmas trees all over it, okay. Get some interaction with the outside. So routine, as I said, the pillars of predictability. So as I say, our bodies thrive on predictability because it helps regulate our biological process, provides a buffer against those external stressors. Okay, so let's start to think about that. Sleep wake consistency. Okay, this is anchoring that system. Okay, let's think about our sleep wake schedule, the most powerful anchor of our internal clock. Okay, this isn't just about getting enough sleep, but waking up and going to bed roughly at the same time. If you've had small children, it's all about the bedtime routine, isn't it? It's off of iPads, bath, bottle, book, bed. Okay, we're getting the brain into the system, into a routine that it's time to go to bed, time to go to sleep, and it tells us our body that. Okay, so we need to, but as soon as we get an adult, we forget that. And it's like, oh, I'll go to bed this time, this time, this time, this time, similar time. And I lie in bed thinking, why can't I get to sleep? Because our body clock is changing continually. Okay, so consistent meal times as well are about stabilizing our blood sugar levels and our energy. So think about our energy regulation. Okay, when our meals are erratic, our blood sugar levels will go all over the place. And when our blood sugars are all over the place, it can trigger anxiety, irritability. Okay, we get a bit hangry. Okay, and our energy crashes. So we also need to think about our digestive system, okay? And our body anticipates food based on schedule, okay? And it's really hard because as soon as we go into Christmas shutdown, I call it sometimes the medieval diet, okay? The Henry VIII diet. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. What am I going to have for breakfast? A baked camembert and a Terry's chocolate orange, okay? So we need to think about our routine, our spiking, and our mindful eating, okay? So pausing when we're eating, okay? So we need to structure our movement. So we need scheduled exercise, plan for a walk. It doesn't have to be miles and miles. Okay, I'm going to walk around the block. I'm going to walk down to the shop. Small, achievable goals. Okay. We need to think about our bookend effect, which I call it. So consistent short routines to bookend your day. Okay. So it could be 5 minutes organization this there, 5 minutes of here. And what it does, it starts to let our body know this is the start of the day and this is the end of the day. Okay. Next up, then, we've got mood and movement. Okay. Movement releases endorphins. Endorphins, natural mood elevator, painkiller, and it reduces stress. Okay. So we need to, and I mentioned it before, this exercise snack. So instead of letting ourselves feel guilty for skipping going to the gym or going for a cycle, okay, let's just do 2 or 3 10-minute bursts of gentle movement during the day. Okay. Actually, what I'm going to do, as long as I can do it, I've got the physical capability. I'm going to go up and down the stairs. Okay. We can do armchair exercises as well, depending on our physical condition. Okay. So let's not think, oh, I didn't do my normal 90 minutes because I go to the gym on the way back from work. Okay. Let's just think about these little exercise snacks, a brisk walk, 5 minutes of stretching, dancing to a song. Okay, getting up and cleaning that work that one counter in the work. Okay, let's think about our nutrition. So, Carol, we talked a little bit about food, nutrition for our brain. Okay, let's think about omega-3, fatty fishes, walnuts, brain health, and that starts to reduce inflammation. Okay, a complex carbs, so oats, brown rice. Okay, they provide low release energy, and that will help to stabilize our blood sugars. And as we said, stabilize our blood sugars. What we won't do is have this hangriness and these spikes, okay, and then these outbursts, okay, that will start to regulate our mood and our energy and stop it from crashing, okay. And as we said, our sleep hygiene is vitally important. How we go to bed. Is it a calming area, or does it look like a sensory explosion's gone in there? Okay, and no one is going to be able to sleep in an area that isn't calming. So think about that routine. Have a bath, have a warm shower. Think about switching that screen off. Okay, and just even maybe aromatherapy, lavender, okay, can start to just control our thoughts, reduce our thought distortions, and just help us ground ourselves into sleep. So hydration has been my big thing for 2025, hydration. Read lots of studies that actually, if our brain is dehydrated by 2%, it start to affect our cognitive function. We affect our cognitive function. What's that going to do? Change our communication and poor decision making. And that's just by 2%. Okay. So actually, dehydration will end up us feeling lethargic. It gives us that brain fog and poor concentration. Okay. So we need to think about keeping our fluids up, especially if we are partaking in alcohol. Alcohol, okay, one is a depressant, two, it will dehydrate us. Okay, so if we are bored with just water, okay, let's think about herbal teas, lemon water, clear broths. Okay, take away those caffeinated drinks, okay, those fizzy drinks. Now, some of us, and we mentioned vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin, okay, and it plays a really vital role in mood, our immune system, and our bone health. Okay, and we still get some minimal vitamin D from being outside, even on a cloudy day. Okay, but it's if we've got this persistent fatigue, low moods, and muscle weakness and aches and pains, we may be thinking that we maybe have a deficiency of vitamin D. So I really strongly suggest that you either go and speak to your GP, or actually, if you go into a chemist, a pharmacist, and speak to them, okay, and think about vitamin D supplements. But please speak to a healthcare professional. So we've got connection and we've got our planning. Okay. So countering the withdrawal and connection. Okay. So let's be proactive. Let's don't wait around for others to initiate that contact. Let's schedule that check-in. Now, it doesn't have to be a big room full of people. It could just be a message to someone. Okay. It starts to release oxytocin, which is the love drug, about being around people. We maybe want to meet up for a coffee. We could go for a walk and a coffee. Okay, even better. We're ticking two things off at once. So start to think about actually that connection time. Okay, and our mantra should be, our goal should be stay connected. Okay, during this winter period. Okay, social connection should be a non-negotiable. So we've got to manage our finances, and we manage our finances over this period as we will reduce stress. So think about planning, think about our budgeting, okay? Think about our expenditure, okay? Now we've got to think about the wider winter plan, okay? So let's think about not just December, but January, February, and identify one or two things that we can genuinely look forward to in each of those months. So let's look ahead, let's plan ahead. And these become emotional anchors. Okay, could be a day trip, cozy weekend, a duvet weekend. Okay, low cost activities. Okay, winter pleasures, and these emotional anchors gives our brain that anticipation of pushing through challenging times to get to something. Okay, we can maybe process our thoughts with a bit of journaling. Okay. And I love a bit of journaling. Everything that whirls around in my head, get it on a piece of paper. Okay. Especially at this time, some simple gratitude. Okay. We don't need to commit to writing long, complex entries. Okay. Simple gratitude journal. 3 positive things that happen to you each day. And this small exercise alone will shift our focus towards the positive aspects of your life. Because it's really hard because our brain naturally thinks about negativity. So it starts to shift it from the bias of negativity towards, okay, gratitude and self-worth. Okay. And really important that we set realistic expectations. Okay. As I said, you wouldn't expect a garden to bloom in January. So don't expect ourselves to do that. And yet we have all this expectation in January. It's a new year, a new me. We're setting ourselves up to failure. As I say, about 93% of us are setting ourselves up for failure. Let's not think about the end goal. Let's think about the journey, small steps. Okay. What do we do in January? Mum, I sit in my garden, potentially nothing because it's too cold, it's too wet, it's too frosty. Okay. So sometimes we need to do that. We just need to maintain ourselves before we can grow. So where to seek help? Lots and lots of places. Okay. We maybe think about going to our GP, go to our doctor. Okay, we've got therapy, so cognitive behavioral therapy. So that's how we manage our negative thought patterns and tendencies. Okay, so for that, maybe talking therapy here in England, you don't have to go to a GP for that. You can just go to NHS England and you can do a self-referral. We've got Samaritans, we've got Shout, which is 85258, we can text. We've got Mind, okay? We've got Loneliness and Connection charities. So the Marmalade Trust, I love the Marmalade Trust, a charity that raises awareness of loneliness and works year round to help people with connections. Silver Line. Silver Line is free confidential helpline, information, friendship, and advice for our older relatives. Okay, we've got a campaign to end loneliness. We've got re-engage. We've got campaign against living miserably. If our triggers are to do with food around at this time, we've got beat eating disorders. Okay, and there's some great apps as well. If we've got apps to support our SAD, we've got mood and tracking journaling. Okay, to implement that recognized stage of our coping. We've got guided meditation and mindfulness. Okay, to build that resilience bit. And we've got routine and habit trackers. Okay, and a lot of them will give, if you go to your app provider, okay, will often give free uh, either free versions of it and you can buy the add-ons, okay, or actually during this winter period, some will give, you can sign up for 2 weeks free of charge and just cancel the subscription. Always remember to cancel the subscription. So just to recap, okay, of our 4 key strategies: light in the morning, okay, plus natural outdoor exposure. Get yourself outside, even if it is only for 10 minutes, okay. So our routine and stability. Think about our sleep pattern. Think about our meals. And think about our bookend, what I call it, our bookend, our wind down ritual. So what do we do at the start of the day? Okay. And what do we do at the end of the day? So a colder shower at the start of the day will start to stop the melatonin being produced, which is what we go to sleep with. Again, it tells our body we're awake. The warm shower at the end increases that melatonin, that snuggling down. Okay. We've got to connect, schedule quality time. Okay. Even when we want to just strip ourselves back, let's keep connected. Okay. And then movement and nourishment. Those exercise snacks. Let's not think about I have to go for walking for 3 hours. Let's do 3 10 minutes. Okay. Start small. Be realistic. Be kind to ourselves and think about those foods that we can eat and think about our hydration. So be patient, be kind to ourselves. As I said, I wouldn't expect the garden to bloom in January. Okay. And so don't expect us to be operating at our normal peak summer efficiency during the winter. It's unrealistic. It's unsustainable. Let's be kind to ourselves. And when we're kind to ourselves and when we tell us that, then what we do is we remove the power from that. Remember, it is okay to be okay. Seeking help, there is support and help. Please check it out online. Okay. If you are based here in the UK, you can download Hub of Hope. Hub of Hope is a little bit like Just Eat, okay, but it hasn't got any pizzas or Snoop Dogg. Or it's Craig David now is in the new one. Okay, download that and you put your postcode in, it'll come up with the services in your area. Just be aware that some will have altered office hours due to winter closures. So start to plan that, okay? And plan that when we're well, okay? Not when I'm in crisis. Am I scrabbling around trying to find out where? Let's do it. When I'm well, let's write down everything, actually, that if I start to dip, these are the things that I can go to, okay? Okay, seeking help is a sign of strength, not a sign of weakness. So from myself and from everybody at Green Cross Global, I would like to wish you all peace, and happiness through this winter period. And I look forward to seeing you all again in 2026. Thank you very much for joining me today, either live or via the recording. And I shall see you all again next year. Thank you very much, and goodbye.